Hi, this is Dhruv,
And this is John.
and this is week 46 of Dreams Devlog.
Yeah, so this week is not the year week, so it's actually 52, episode 52. I just times everything by 4, and there's 4 months. 12 times 4 is 48, so it must be 48. So it's not even 46. So
So it was way off, but it's okay.
And the worst part is I asked Annie, Annie, how many weeks in a year? And without hesitation, she's like 52. I was like, oh, is that supposed to be common knowledge? So yeah, good timing because we weren't ready to prepare anything special anyways. So hopefully the next, how many? So it's 46. So we still have like 8 weeks.
It's 6.
So it's not even a year, man. I was so happy about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, this week originally, so my original plan was to interview Dhruv outside. You know, we go hiking and we just chill and talk outside and all that stuff. But what I wanted to ask is, what is something positive? What is something extremely fun doing game dev? And you can't say anything negative. So the whole point is, how would you encourage someone to do game dev? And with a focus on specifically this last year, because personally, I think this last year has been incredible.
Much more fun,
Yeah.
So I think game dev really, really helps you bring out your creativity in anything. I think when you're working on, let's say this week, actually, I was working on a scene. This was probably the first time I really made a map on my own, and not just made the map, but also decorated the map and everything.
Oh, more than that, he did story too, and I have to give him credit. I don't give that enough, but a lot of things he put in were really, really interesting. I did, most of them I haven't really thought about or thinking about even doing it. So for me, priority is always looking good and it makes sense in the world. But to Dhruv, it seems like it's a completely different rule.
Yeah, I don't know I think it's just random. In my mind, I'm like, oh, this will look cool, let me put it in. It's not really, I guess, a set plan. But when I did do it, it was really fun. It took a really long time. I'm not really good at doing it quickly yet, but it was just like every day when I worked on it, it just felt really good to be able to just be like, hey, I'm gonna work on that. It was relaxing. The work wasn't like, oh, I have to figure this thing out. It was more like, oh, let me code this to help with this or something like that.
You know, the fun thing is, I've been enjoying that for the past 7 years, and then Drew's been not doing that but still enjoying game dev. So at this point, I feel like there's a whole nother way Dhruv is enjoying game dev that I don't even know, because I'm sure you feel awesome when you're like, oh, I have something in mind, let me try to put that together. Oh, it actually works out a lot better than I thought. Oh, that's one map, there's a story, there's a lot of your voice is in there, you know, everything you do is, so one thing Dhruv did that was really cool is he also put in wildlife in this already. So there's you can explain it. I don't want to, it's your masterpiece, bro.
But so pretty much I don't want to spoil too much for the people who will play the game, but in general, we have a bunch of wildlife, and in this one there was this really cool flying fish type of thing that feeds its children and it goes on its route and stuff. It's pretty cool. I had to take some extra time coding a flight path for it, so but I did that just because I really just wanted this thing. It doesn't really do anything in terms of I guess gameplay mechanic. You can ride on the fish, but you don't really need to, but it does add the cool, I think, thing to it, twist.
Do you think game dev specifically is about you putting together what you had in mind, either programming or through map design? Yeah,
so I was going to say, game dev is, I think, more about game dev, or really any creative endeavor. It's more about, hey, I did this thing and nobody else would do it like I did it. And that's the biggest thing, and it really lets you kind of express your even if I didn't make any of the art, John made all the art, I just placed it, but nobody else would place it in the way that I placed it.
I wouldn't place it that way. He did it.
And I don't think, and then that gives you the sense of, oh, I made this, and it's really different, I think, than anything else. I mean, there is a sense of that when you code. Yeah, nobody else will code it like I did, but that really isn't the same, because the output is the same, as in you put this input and then you get this output. Whether you coded it this way or that way to get that output doesn't really matter that much, as long as you got that output. I mean, there is efficiency, but again, that's not that important in terms of what you get. But in this, it's creative. Oh yeah, there's this, I put this in and I got this, and nobody else would have gotten that. And I think that feeling when you are doing it it and when you're done really feels good, because you're like, oh yeah, I got this whole thing working. And then especially with this map, I put a lot of little I coded some things in. I cheated a little bit.
Yeah, he cheated.
But I did code some things which we can use again in future maps. And I think that really shows that, oh, there can be so much more potential to this game. And it really adds the sense of, oh, I made something. And it gives me also confidence for the future. I feel like I didn't have that confidence before of, oh, I can make a map. I feel like now it might take me a long time, but at least I can say, okay, I can make a map.
Yeah, see, the biggest thing for me is now that Dhruv made a map, while he's playing the map, he's forced to go through and see if there are any bugs. So,
Yeah.
so now he actually does have to go through it. And then just wait for it. The hard part comes from you being able to sustainable keep on producing great maps like this, and then you want to drag this out as long as possible.
Yeah.
Making one great map. And the best part about this one is this is the tutorial. The meat, I think the biggest chunk of the tutorial actually comes from this area. So Dhruv put a lot of time on it. I actually think he puts more time in this than me. I have done in any single map. And I don't know how he will take this. Might be a positive or a negative thing, but I actually think Dhruv is really good at making platforming games, because it's something I hate, and Dhruv says he hates it, but he seems to have a knack to make some very fun platforming things. And how we're going to do is we're going to kind of sparsely place a lot of the mechanics that Dhruv placed in, because I think it adds a lot. Let's say we have an area in the mainland, which is where the demo will not take place. It's you will get to the mainland, and there's a forest that's like the stone pillar forest. To get anywhere, you have to be knocking things around and all that stuff. There's a lot of things that adds character to the thing. But the positive and negative thing is, I don't know if Dhruv likes to be called a platformer creator.
I do not. I personally hate platforming, but at the same time, I love platforming. I think there's a sense of accomplishment, but I do not like it when you have to platform. But the map that I made is all platforming, so I don't know how much I can say about that. I think there's games like Hollow Knight, which I love about platforming. I think that's probably what I got most of the inspiration from this map from. I'm like, oh, I can just do this and that. Right. So I don't know if I'm necessarily great. I think I just played a game and I was like, oh, okay, I can kind of use a lot of what they used.
Right. I even though Dhruv cheated a little bit, I would say though most of the stuff is still based on the 3 mechanics that we have, so it's not really that bad. And I would say that's probably something the most we're
talking about NPCs.
Yeah. Okay, so another big thing that Dhruv forced me to do this whole week, which sucked.
Sounds so bad. Yeah, I sound like I'm the slave master cracking my whip.
Dhruv was like, hey, okay, so first I brought up the idea that it's an RPG, right? There's some role-playing stuff, so we need some sort of we need the city to be alive. And we kind of want to get the funds from England, so we want that. Yeah, I mean, hopefully we do. But the Victorian city, it needs to be filled with life. So we're like, okay, unfortunately, we might have to do NPCs. And then so Dhruv and I had a very long talk, and we actually did already put in NPCs that walk and NPCs that sit idly, but they do different things. So this week I made it so there's an NPC that drinks, there's an NPC that sits down and reads, there's an NPC that relaxes sitting down, NPC leaning towards a wall, a really buff ass, I don't know if I should say that, but a really buff fisherman. I've also made a squatting one, and I think
Slav squat.
The Slavic squat. Yeah. So it actually feels pretty low. You liked it, right?
Yeah. It already feels alive, and they don't even. We were thinking maybe to do pathing and stuff for the NPCs, but it already looks really alive without having to implement all of that. So we might not even have to do it.
So yeah, I think we're very excited about what we have done this week, and it has almost nothing to do with the actual topic of the video, but
but it highlights how positive we are about the game.
Definitely.
I mean, we love this past year. I think we've really been working on our passion for the game. I think last couple of years we've been working a lot on trying to make money. And I think that when you try really hard to make money, you won't make a good game. You'll make a game that is meant to trying to make money in a sense. And so I think this past year we've been working on something that is more putting our hearts into it. And
more authentic, for sure.
Yeah, it's more authentic, and it's more to what we like, and it's more to our skills. So I think because of that, we've kind of, I think, evolved to like it more, and I
Yeah.
think that's really important when you're doing anything that's creative, is to always stay positive on what you're doing, and
Yeah.
it's always about, oh hey, like what's the great thing on what you're doing, because you can always find the negatives, but that's what your brain will automatically go to, but trying to stay positive is way harder.
It's the hard part. Yeah.
And I think it's something that both me and John are like really trying to strive for.
Yeah.
It's not always easy, but it's something that we're trying to get to.
Yeah, I completely agree. And just to finish off, I think it's also about time, like 6-7 years of just trying to make money and also trying to lay out our skills. Like I said before, this was the first year where I feel like my art's actually appreciated by a lot of people. This is the first year Drew felt so efficient in his programming that he knew what he want and did not want to program, and he made it so it's very clear to me as well. I can visualize what he's trying to do, so it just seems like this is a year where everything seems to click very well. So yeah, okay, we don't want to drag this on too long.
Ramble too much.
Yeah, but I do want to say, so I wasn't sure, but Drew seems to be very interested in trying to do something fun for our anniversary video. If you guys have any suggestions, please let us know, and maybe it might help make Drew's thinking a little bit easier.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out. It's not something too difficult, please. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Please subscribe and hit that like button.
Yeah, you said smash.
Just smash that like button.
Okay, bye.
Bye.